Hello and welcome everybody back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for tuning in. If you are returning, thank you. I greatly appreciate your presence. I am Straatien. My real name is Zach. You can find me over multiple places now. I am over on Facebook at Straatien. I am on YouTube at Straatien Check. Chances are that's probably where you're watching this right now. Also over on Twitter at Straatien Tech, and I also stream 2 to 3 days a week, and that is twitch.tv/Straatien. If you do like what you see today or any of the videos, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. And as I always like to say, if you don't like what you see, let me know. I'm always open to criticism. The whole goal of me doing this is obviously to build a YouTube presence, but in order to do that, I want to make sure that the content that I'm putting out is something that you guys obviously like, or like I said, even if you dislike it, let me know. The criticism is always welcome on this channel. So without further ado, let's get started. So yesterday Xbox had the showcase, and there's definitely been some mixed opinions on it. Some people were digging it. Some people weren't liking it. I've been seeing this big graphic, Halo graphic coming out, to where I saw people were comparing it to Thanos. It's getting a lot of flack for the Halo Infinite release. People were really dogging on the graphics, but at the end of the day, it is still a console. That's something we have to remember. It's not a PC. That's just the sad reality. So this was published, I saw this on my homepage. This was published about an hour ago, so about 11 o'clock a.m. Microsoft confirms not all Xbox Series X games shown this week will be on Xbox One. Now, this is definitely interesting. And when I first read this, I was like, well, that's... what are you talking about? And then once I actually read it, it made a little more sense. So I wanted to share this with you guys. Following up on mixed messaging at the Xbox Game Showcase, Xbox Game Marketing General Manager Aaron Greenberg has now confirmed that not all early first-party Xbox games will come to both Xbox Series X and Xbox One. Cross-generation availability has been a cornerstone of Xbox's next-gen strategy. Absolutely. It was talked about multiple times in the showcase yesterday. It was brought up multiple times, with backwards compatibility and smart delivery forming the base of its plans. Earlier this year, Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty assured players that over the next year, 2 years, all of our games will play and up down that family of devices. Other Xbox executives, including Xbox chief Phil Spencer, that's who talked yesterday, was Phil Spencer, supported this messaging in more recent interviews and statements. It was somewhat surprising then that multiple Xbox Series X games announced in yesterday's showcase were not listed for Xbox One. I was watching this, but I honestly didn't catch that a lot. I kind of saw the games and saw the ends of them, but I was not, to be honest with you, I wasn't paying super close attention to that little area on the bottom where it showed which platforms it was going to. So let's see here, not listed on Xbox One, or were in some places but not in others. For example, Avowed, this was an interesting one. A new first-person fantasy RPG. I believe Avowed was the one that I said reminded me of a Doctor Strange, Elder Scrolls, kind of bundle. A new first-person fantasy RPG set in the world was described as an Xbox Series X exclusive, built from the ground up to take advantage of the console. However, as US Gamer spotted, Avowed was initially listed for Xbox One on its Xbox web page, which has since been updated. The same is true for Rare Stunning Animal Adventure Everwild. That one did look interesting. That was the one that I said kind of had a very chakra. It's a very beautiful trailer, well done music. According to Greenberg, future first-party titles are developed for Xbox Series X first. This is big right here. And I will say, a lot of people may not agree, and some people may not like this opinion, but I'm going to tell you right now, this right here, future first-party titles are developed for Xbox Series X first. I think that's a good thing. I am 100% in favor of that, and let me tell you why. The thing that's always kind of hindered consoles over their entire lifetime is, ironically, this kind of like cross-gen. You know, this idea of being able to go from, you know, playing a newer game on an older console. That is obviously, from a marketing standpoint, from a player standpoint, and I would say from a sales standpoint, it's probably the best decision to do it that way. I won't argue that, but I think in the long run, this is also what hinders consoles, because what you have to remember is that, or I guess maybe not necessarily remember, but realize the thing with console that's very different from PC is that when these developers are making games and they are putting out these titles, a lot of the times the cross-gen puts them on limits. It severely limits their ability to make this great game. Because essentially what happens is that, obviously with a new gen, you have all these capabilities, you have all these things that the new gen can do that the old gen cannot. And as a result, there are things that games or developers cannot implement into games, into new gen games, because they have to cater to previous gen models, right? So there may be things with colors, with frame rates. Frame rates is the biggest thing that hinders new gen consoles from actually spitting out good frames per second. The Xbox One, the One X specifically, the One X, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and I've had some people that are like, yeah, I know what you mean, and I've had other people that are just saying I'm so dead wrong, but I promise you, because this was like the reason that I upgraded to the One X over just the regular Xbox One. The One X has the capability to shoot out 60 frames per second on everything. The Xbox One X really is an amazing piece of hardware, and it can do 60 frames per second. The problem is that the Xbox One can't necessarily do that. I would have to look it up, but I'm almost certain there is an increase in teraflops from the One to the One X. The One X can shoot out some amazing graphics and some amazing frames per second, but it doesn't. And it doesn't because developers, unfortunately, are hindered with having to make sure that their titles can run across multiple generations of the console. And I think that right there has always been the problem. So when I see this and I see them, talk about that, and they say future titles are developed for Xbox Series X first, that is a good thing, guys. That's a very good thing. And I know a lot of people are not going to like this, and because when I say from like a marketing standpoint, it's probably not the best choice, because what you also have to realize is if you were to actually look at the numbers, you would find that when a new console comes out, it sells, don't get me wrong, it sells a crap ton, right? But the actual amount, like if you were to look at the statistical ratio of how many people we'll say after a month of the new console being out, how many console owners of that, right? Whether you're looking at PlayStation or Xbox, doesn't matter. We'll look at Xbox for this example. If you were to look at, we'll say when the Xbox One came out, when the Xbox One came out after that first month, if you were to go look at the numbers, I guarantee you would find that the statistical majority of people actually did not own an Xbox One yet, right? So it may have only been 25-30% of the player population actually had the money to go out, to actually had the money to go and upgrade to this new gen title. So you'd find that the statistical majority is actually running last gen hardware. And that right there, that's why I say from a marketing standpoint, from a player base standpoint, it is, I think, better to do multi, cross like platforming, being able to go to multiple generations, 1 or 2 generations back. If you get a title on the new Series X, but you only have a 1X, you obviously still want to play it. But that is just, unfortunately, that's the hardest part about console. Consoles have so much potential, and their hardware potential is so huge. It really is much bigger than people give it credit for, but it's because of the cross-platforming that they cannot truly succeed. So this is good. I like this. Future first-party titles are developed for Xbox Series X first. I think this is the best choice, especially with how big of a scene they're making with the capabilities. I mean, we've seen the videos of people comparing or building equally, PCs that are equal, right, with video cards, motherboard, CPU, everything, and we're finding that these equivalent PCs are potentially 2 to 3 times, if not more expensive than the console. So, I mean, it's with the capabilities that these new machines can put out. I think we need to make sure that these games are being developed for the Series X first. I think this will, I'm sure, be the first time that this will actually happen. And I don't know if Sony's doing the same thing, but this will be like the first time that this has happened. And I think while a lot of people may not like it, it is better for the overall health of the console. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. I saw this, figured I would share this. Yeah, like I said, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to be happy about this, but I would say if you're not happy about it, I understand. I don't think you have every right to be upset about it, but you do got to think about the greater good, right? If you really love that console that much, really think about the bigger picture of what doing this is going to do for the overall health, potential, and video output of these titles that you love so much on the console. This is a good thing. This is good. I think, unfortunately, that this right here is going to be, I think, definitely a potential hit. I don't know if I want to say a bad hit, but a hit to Microsoft and the new Series X, because this right here was not really conveyed at all by any means in the Xbox showcase yesterday that aired yesterday. They put crossplay, previous gen crossplay all over that damn showcase yesterday. It was all over. I mean, everything. It was all over the place. Phil Spencer even came out and talked about it and said it like verbatim right after the State of Decay trailer. He came out and talked about that. And they also talked about it towards the end as well. So I think it's kind of it'll definitely be seen as a little bit of a sketch, like, hey, you're advertising all this, but now we're finding out that's not necessarily true. And I think that definitely will be a negative hit. But I think for the greater good, like I said, we just got to think about what this actually means for the health and the integrity and everything of the console. If we love the consoles, we need to make sure that this does, in fact, finally happen. It hasn't happened before, And that has always been the biggest problem with consoles. Every generation. It's been a plague. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let me know what you guys think. Drop comments. Do you agree? You disagree? I'd love to interact, have some conversations, and get some different perspectives from people. Right? I think that's right now is probably going to be one of the best things. Is just having legit conversations about it. So I'm going to end it here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you tuned in for the whole thing, I greatly appreciate it. If you do like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Check me out on Twitch as well. I'm generally playing a lot of Division 2. I will say that is my main title. It's a very, I'm going to be uploading some videos on Division 2, doing kind of some more stuff with that. So should be interesting. All right, guys. Everyone have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys later.